Good morning. So, yesterday was like a very emotional day. And I think that has a lot to do with new beginnings because yesterday was 11/1, so you had 111, which is new beginnings. So, just like when you were going to start a new job or start school, you might have felt the same way I did yesterday, which was feelings of uncertainty, past issues coming up that kind of put forth that thought of fear in you, right? Like, ooh, last time I did this, it worked like that. And I don't know, hopefully that doesn't happen again. Kind of have sleepless nights. But like I said, just really heavy emotion. And if anybody else is going through that, my heart goes out to you, sending you love and light because it is tough. Excuse me. And it is early. But also on that note, with these new beginnings, you're going to have new chapters. So do not be afraid to turn the page because even though you're losing something from the past, not losing it, replacing it with something new. Don't feel like everything is falling apart because I have to keep being reminded it's not that things are falling apart, it's that things are being prepared for us. That there's basically a new foundation being laid. So when we functioned in a society that's full of greed and self serving attitude and instant gratification, things that don't serve your soul, right? It's more so serve your ego and fit in to get in. So instead of fitting in to get in, try fitting out and moving forward because a lot of people are comfortably numb. There's a song about that, being stuck in the situation that they've created that they call their life. And it doesn't have to end at a dead end, right? It doesn't have to stop. And my daughter keeps reminding me, and I'm very glad that she does, we didn't come this far to stop. And my boyfriend even had to remind me yesterday, you're being really hard on yourself. Instead of being hard on yourself, I want you to look at your life, what it was, and I want you to see what you're doing, what you've done, what you've accomplished, how strong you are. And it's great to have that person encouraging me on the backside. One second. Sorry about that. And honestly, when it comes down to it, I've not really ever had that support system. So when he came into my life, I questioned a lot. Um, I didn't believe that this person that seemed like a gift to my life was on my side. I felt like kind of like the past, he's out to get me. What does he want? There's a motive, and I don't have anything else to give at this point. And it's been about 6 months of him slowly working to gain my trust. And it's hard when you have had a lot of pain and trauma in the past. I completely understand, and I still go through the motions of accepting what has happened and trying to release that. So if you are going through that, like I've said in a few other videos, think about it, process it, but don't get stuck in it because you can get stuck in grief. You can get stuck in fear and despair, and you can start turning bitter. So don't let yourself get to a point where you're so fearful of a new beginning that you hang on to the trauma of the past, because that past will cripple you. It will keep you there. It will keep you stuck in toxic situations that you don't deserve to be in. And there's honestly genuine love out in the world that is waiting. It just wants to smile and hug you and, oh, you're so great, and remind you that you're here for a reason, and when you smile at other people, you don't know who you're saving that day. You don't know how you've changed their day, which essentially is changing their life. Because when you're stuck in a narrative in your mind that this is where I'm at, this is what I get, you give up. So instead of giving up and fearing that change, try to embrace it and hold on because you're about to go for a ride. 1 second. Okay, I'm back to another one of those mornings. It's going to be start, stop, start, stop. But I'm going to get this message out. So, like I was saying, when you're coming up on that change, get ready because you're about to go on a ride. And oftentimes, if you can take yourself back to a theme park, right? And you're climbing up that hill and you're over here, anticipation is killing you, and you just, I don't know what's about to happen. I saw the ride from a distance, and you think it's going to work the way you thought it would. And all of a sudden, you're just like, and you're screaming and you're holding on for dear life. But the next thing you know, you're just like, you're laughing and adrenaline is pumping, life is flowing through you, right? So this is kind of that change that at first it's going to be like, what's going on? And you're afraid to move forward. And I was okay where I was, but I don't want to stay where I was because I want to go forward. And this is back and forth, right? Back and forth. But when you're in this moment, you can't go back and forth. You can't try to cling on to the past and go, but I want to go to the future. I want to move, because if you do that, you're going to confuse the universe to go, well, I'll just let you sit there and you figure out what you want to do. And honestly, these are ways that I self-sabotage myself. The desires that I have, the dreams, the future I've painted in my mind. It's not the fear of the future. It's not the fear of change. There is a little uncertainty. For the longest time, it was that I don't know how, but it's the simplest thing. Take a step. Just take a step. You cannot fail. The only way you're going to fail is if you stand still and don't try. And I keep telling my kids, you got to just try. There's no right or wrong in the situation. But if you don't put forth an effort, you're not going to get anywhere. So the same goes with life. If we hold on to the things that tore us down, the toxic voices in our minds, the fear mindset that I don't deserve this, if we keep tearing ourselves down, we're sabotaging the greatest future we could have for ourselves. And if you're at a point in your life you don't know what you want, sit down, find a pen and paper, write your thoughts out. Write what your dreams are. And oddly, the older we get, those dreams kind of go to the wayside and we sit comfortably numb. And I look at my parents, they're in their 60s, and they gave up on life, on the sense that there's something greater in this world, because they're comfortably living in a society and following the standards of you work, eat, sleep, and eventually you die. And that's not the kind of world that I believe we live in. I know there's something greater. I know there's a community. I know there's a unity that once existed. And if you don't believe it, look at ancient structures and know that one person did not build that. Just like if you look at it, we look at history and say it was slave labor rather than understanding that was a privilege to be a part of a kingdom that was helping to guide everyone into a direction that would allow their community to be fruitful. And honestly, if we would get back to that connection, that unity, working together, we wouldn't live in such a toxic environment. But if you look around you, this is competition. This competition leads to destruction. So if we keep destroying it, what's going to happen to your grandkids, your great grandkids? And honestly, I don't know if it's going to go much further than that. So we're at a point where we have to embrace this change that's coming, and the change that I see coming and that's being presented into my life is letting go of toxic ways from the past and moving into a future of pure, genuine love. That feeling of warmth and feeling embraced and comfortable and secure in every next step you're going to take. And I remember my grandmother being the person that introduced this feeling to me. And it's something I haven't felt since she's been gone. And it's something that I try to share with the world. And if I could, I would give you a big hug every day. I would, the same way she did, because that feeling of warmth and being innocent, feeling protected, that was the purest emotion I have felt. And it's sad because I have searched and searched and searched, and the only place I didn't look was in the mirror. So if you're searching for that, if you had someone you remembered gave you that, remember to send them love, gratitude, and light, even if they're not here, you know, and embody that. Remember how they made you feel and strive to make others feel that way so others can become comfortable with this concept of change. Because, like I said, yesterday was 11/1 or 111, which signifies new beginnings. And instead of going, I don't know what tomorrow brings, who cares what tomorrow brings? Tomorrow's going to bring a new chance, right? Just like today was a new chance. And compared to yesterday, I'm thankful for the new chance because how I felt yesterday, at one point, I just couldn't stop crying. And my boyfriend kept saying, It's okay, baby. It's okay. Things are going to get better. We're going to make it through this. And I said, Okay, I'm going to put my big girl panties on. And I put my big girl panties on in my mind. And I looked over out the window. My boss pulled up and I said, Oh, the elastic just snapped. Didn't even last for a minute. And then he came in, we talked for a minute, things were fine. He went back out and I was like, okay, I can feel better. And it wasn't even the concept he was here. It was just, I was not in a mood to people yesterday. And that's really hard working in the business that I work in because I constantly deal with people and y'all see some of the distractions. But to always have to be like, oh yeah, yeah. Okay, well you have a great day. And then they walk out and I'm like, if I could only have a great day, so understand that those feelings, those emotions, everything we're going through, it's natural. And you have to take the good with the bad, right? Just like I read the other day, you cannot have a sky with no lights. So you have that light and dark, just like we have in all of us, just like we have this masculine energy and this feminine energy. And when you can get it balanced, you're functioning on a loving, prosperous, nurturing, get it done kind of attitude that it's not hurting anybody. You're encouraging others, you're leading others, you're not bossing them. That's more of a toxic mindset, toxic energy, I should say. But when you can get to that balance, that yin and yang, right? Now you can begin to flow in a way that you're just kind of dancing. And then when you can dance through life rather than, I don't know what I'm going to do, everything startles you, everything surprises you, everything um, just doesn't feel right. That mindset gets you to where you're just like, I don't want to people today. It's like me yesterday. But with that change of life, let's say, the change of the time, it's hard at first to go, okay, I accept everything for what it's going to be. But that's also called surrendering. And I have found that every time something seems like I just can't do it, like trying to even break a bolt off of something you have to work on a motor or something, right? You have to take pieces apart to get to the core of the problem. So when I would sit here and have to do things like this, it's like, I can't get it. I can't. And when I finally go, I just can't get it. I give up. And then my mind goes, try it one more time. And then it's like, king. And it was like, man, every time I say I can't, I do. And it's almost to get you to say, I don't know, I give up. I'm not going to try. And then when you hear that little voice that says, just do it one more time, it's like some extra super force power comes out of you, and you're like, man, I just needed to give up a long time ago. And oddly, that's how my life has worked. I'm not suggesting everyone just lay down and be like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm not going to try anymore, because there's still a concept of you have to try. But in your mind, you have to relinquish the control that you are the only person doing this, because there are forces that flow through us. We are just vessels, and some of us are of light and some of us are more of the dark. They're both needed in this world. It's just very imbalanced. So if we can get back to trying to find that balance, and remember, like I've told you, when you're feeling overwhelmed, do that one thing. And you'll be surprised. It will allow you to take a minute, calm your mind, possibly release that which has been holding on to you, and allow you to accept the change of the time. Because we're about to head into 2023. And I always thought 2020 will be my year. Definitely going to be my year. I left a 16-year toxic relationship. I brought my kids into a moment where they were allowed to stand up tall, eat what they felt they finally wanted to eat rather than being told to stop even though they were hungry. When they stood up tall, I'm not kidding, my son grew a foot in about 4 months. And he was in so much pain, poor little guy, but he is now almost 6'1". I'm 5'1". My daughter is, I want to say probably about 5'3". And they both like to say, fun size mom, the little fun snacks, the mini, little mini candies, because they're taller than me. But that would not have happened had they kept hiding from the arguments and not wanting to be seen and being afraid to be heard. And now that they've been given the freedom, they are accepting the change. That fear is not there anymore of, well, if I do this, how's that going to happen? What's going to happen next? And we have to understand, as children, they fear change more than anything because they're looking for acceptance. So if you're in a mindset where you need someone to allow you that change, start working on inner child healing. Start working on knowing that you are intelligent, that you have the right to make decisions for your own life. You do not need someone else's approval. You are capable of building a life plan for yourself that will work for you. It doesn't have to work for anyone else. And when you can put out of your mind that you need the approval of your spouse or your teacher or your boss or whoever it is around you, you don't need approval. And when it comes down to even God concept, you were given the freedom of thought, the freedom of choice. This means you're given multiple chances to succeed. Every single day, you're given a multiple options. If I choose this, it might turn out like this, but if I do that, it might turn out like that. But it's not indefinite. There's nothing that tells you exactly how it's going to end, right? So instead of standing still, if I keep doing this, I'm going to get this outcome. and then never even trying. Because if you don't try, there's no trial and only error. But the only way you're going to grow is if you can trial and error, trial and error. It's just like when Ford created the tire for vehicles. He had failed so many times. His wife was actually about to leave him. And she said, if you keep playing with that, I'm not going to stick around. Well, she had left, and he was in the kitchen playing around trying to get the recipe just right. Well, he heard her come in, so he shoved it in the oven, not at the temperature that he normally had. So when she walked in, he had to stand there and talk to her for however long she stood there. Everything about his calculations was changed because he was hiding the fact he was doing it. So when she finally left and he pulled it out of the oven, lo and behold, it was just right. And now we have tires for our car. Sadly, he didn't see the progress of that while he was still alive, but I mean, he passed away as a penniless man, and pretty sure he was divorced. I don't remember the facts exactly, but Ford still is a very known, and I think it could have been Goodyear. I'm thinking Ford tires. But anyways, little story of somebody who was pushed into changing the way they were doing things based off of the fact that they were concealing what they were doing. So everything can affect how things are going in your life. Little things might stop you, but don't let them destroy the fact that it's okay to have that change. So I know I rambled a lot and I told you all kinds of little stories. Seems to be what I do. I'm a storyteller, I guess. Dreamweaver. So hopefully everyone has a good day and just remember to embrace that change. Know that you're perfect the way you are. Stand fearlessly. Take your breath and move forward. But I might catch up with you later on today if it's not just crazy in and out all day long. So peace, love, and light. Talk to you later. Bye bye.